Hello guys, this is just one guy and I'm back here with The Witcher 3, and today I want to talk about The Witcher 3's leveling up system and why it's a bad system. Now, the reason it's a bad system is because it doesn't let you level up fast enough, but it also disencourages you from exploring. Now, I didn't notice this until I started exploring and fighting random enemies and doing random quests, and I'll just give an example of how it does that. Now right here we have a really high level enemy. You can see he's actually so high level that I can't actually see his level. And you can see if I slash him, it barely does any damage. And just a little test. If they damage me, you can see it's a 2-hit kill. So if I were to fight this enemy, it would take about an hour to 2 hours to kill him, which you can see that's a lot of time and effort. Now the problem with this is, in a normal game, if I killed a high level enemy like this, that's that far above me in level, I would get a lot of experience. I would get a ton of it, and I would probably go up a few levels. But in The Witcher, it doesn't matter if the enemy is at my level or higher level than me. I still get the same amount of experience. It's a set amount of experience independent of the level of the enemy. That's a bad system because it doesn't reward you for the proper amount of effort that you're putting into the fight. And this is really bad for The Witcher for a couple of reasons. The first one is it disencourages exploration, and The Witcher 3 is an open world game. If I go to the map, you can see right here I'm in I think Velen, and this is with the Velen map, and this is I think about 1/4 of the game or 1/3 of the game, because you have this map right here which shows all the other places you can go. So I'm in Novigrad and Velen. So I would say this is 1/3 of the game. And you can see all these little points right here, these question marks, are places that the game wants me to explore. And you can see these red quests right here are quests that are far beyond my level. I'm at level 17, 16, and the suggested level for this is 32. So the game is saying, hey, this is too high level for you. Now that I could accept. But the problem is, if I go to this level 32 area and I kill a level 32 enemy, you would think just the effort of that and my mastery of the game and the amount of effort I put in, they would give me a lot of experience rewarding that, rewarding me for fighting a high level enemy. But the game doesn't. I'll get the same experience from the monsters as if they were my level. So that creates no reason to go over here and do this quest. Now I know what some people might say. They might say, well, you'll get weapons and armor from that area. But the problem with that is, if I go to the weapons and armor, you can see the weapons and armor are level gated too. So even if you were to go over to that area and fight the monsters, you wouldn't get any extra experience. And even if you did get weapons and armor, you wouldn't be able to use them because they're too high level. So they will be level gated off. So all this together creates a system which just doesn't reward you for exploring, which leads you to, why should you explore? You don't get any reward for it. So your best option is to go down a linear path. And the third problem it creates, which is unique to The Witcher 3, is, let me just go out of here. Excuse me. You can see The Witcher 3's leveling up system. Now this isn't a bad leveling up system. The problem is it's just not long enough to give you constant growth throughout the entire length of the Witcher game, because The Witcher 3 is a very long game. So what they do to compensate for that is they stretch the leveling system out. Now it already takes an agonizing amount of time to go up a level, but once you do go up a level, you have to put a point into these abilities right here. Now that seems like a pretty simple system, but the problem is, if I want a new ability that's at a new level, I have to put a certain amount of points into this branch already. Now that doesn't seem like a bad system, it just seems like a system of prerequisites. But instead of being that simple, they make you put multiple points within one ability. Now that would lead you to put 5 points in all of these abilities before you can go to the next ability. And it's just a system that's making an already agonizingly slow leveling up system more agonizingly slow. So you never feel like you're being properly rewarded for the amount of combat you're doing, or the amount of things you're doing. You're not being properly rewarded for it because they have to stretch the leveling system out so it can cover the entire length of the game. And some people have already fixed this with mods by just giving you more ability slots right here and making you level up faster. But all this together makes the leveling system in Witcher 3 really bad because it disencourages exploration by making higher level enemies super hard to fight and giving you no extra experience. And then they make the leveling system intentionally slower. And I didn't notice this until I started doing every quest in the game, and I just went to higher level areas to fight higher level enemies because I could defeat them. Another way this is bad because The Witcher 3 is an action RPG, and in an action RPG where you have enemies that have ridiculous health bars, they feel like bullet sponges. And you can see, let me just go over here and slash this guy. You can see I'm slashing this guy doing no damage. And let me just reload the game. Just give me a second. Okay, now I have to load it up and I'm back. And what I was saying was, in an action RPG game, those enemies feel like bullet sponges. And that ruins the illusion that you're actually in combat with the enemy. Because no matter how much damage you're doing, it's never going to be enough. It's never going to do any significant damage. And The Witcher 3 actually gives you strategies to do more damage. Like if I would have used that Thunderbolt potion, I'm out right now, but I have an upgraded Thunderbolt potion, which allows me to do more damage. But even when I do use it, it doesn't do anything to the enemy. I would still not do enough damage to make it worth it. So it's no point in even using it. And then you could also sharpen your weapon, which actually makes it do more damage. But again, it's pointless because you can see the base amount of damage I'm already doing to him is nothing. So this ruins the illusion that you're actually in combat and makes any type of strategy to defeat the enemy pointless because his HP bar is just so ridiculously high. Now, this is another carryover from turn-based RPGs, which is pretty unnecessary now, because in older turn-based RPGs, the challenge from defeating the enemy didn't really come from actually fighting around and strategy and moving around. It came from the enemy's level. So if you were level 16 and you were fighting a level 60 enemy, he would have ridiculously high HP and ridiculously high damage. Also, in most older RPGs, you had giant monsters, so this kind of made sense. Like a 20-foot tall Godzilla-sized monster, it would make sense that he would have so much HP that you wouldn't be able to damage him. But in modern action RPGs, this system doesn't really make any sense because the challenge is supposed to come from your knowledge of the game and your knowledge of uh, where to attack and block and parry attacks. But instead, when you slash the enemy or parry an attack, it doesn't really do anything because its HP bar, it's so ridiculous. And all this is funny because this leveling up system, this system of level gating enemies and weapons is pretty unnecessary because there's no actual way to power level in this game. There are multiple systems preventing you from power leveling. And one of them is that these enemies are all set. These are not random encounters. These enemies are all set. So if you want to fight this enemy multiple times, what you have to do is kill him right now, then sit down and meditate, which is already a long and arduous process. And in a normal game, it doesn't even look like this. You just see the menu. So you would have to either do that or reload a save. You see, they actually attacked me. But and these enemies would take about a day or maybe 3 to respawn. So you can either sit, if you want the power level, you can sit and do that, or you could just play the content. It's much simpler just to play the content than to actually sit there and do that boring process of sitting here and then meditating over and over again, waiting for the enemy to respawn. And because I got the mod, this makes it a little bit more interesting because you can actually see this. But in a normal game, you just see the Witcher menu, so it would be a really boring process. Or you could just reload the save over and over again and fight the enemy. But I believe even with that, you still have to meditate. And it's just much easier to play the game and get levels that way rather than power level like that, and it's unnecessary. So you can see the systems they put in to stop you from power leveling. It only makes it so that if you fight a higher level enemy, it feels unrewarding because they don't give you any extra experience. So I look at it as, why should I do it? They don't even give you any extra alchemy parts. They give you the same amount. I believe there's certain enemies that drop red mutagens, which are pretty rare, but those aren't level gated enemies. Those are determined by where they set the enemies at in the world. So, and all this is really bad for The Witcher because everything that the game everything that you would think that the game would encourage you to do, like explore and fight new and more interesting monsters, is all discouraged by the game itself. And I just noticed that when I was playing the game and trying to actually explore and uh, finding out that exploration was pretty pointless in this game because of that. And that's just something I wanted to discuss. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching.